Hello Stampers, this is Alison with another Technique Tuesday video. Today I want to show you how to do a technique called emerging color. So I need to stamp a background, so I'm using two very light colors, Crisp Cantaloupe and Pistachio Pudding. These are two of the new in colors. They're really gorgeous in person, and you do need to use a very light color for your background. You'll see why in a minute. So I've got two images from the set Secret Garden, which I love. It's got a matching framelit too, so you don't even have to cut these images out. And I'm going to just stamp them randomly, and you can see that I'm overlapping these images, and that's okay. I have to let this dry, so I can either heat set it or I can just wait a minute until it's completely dry. Okay, so now that this is dry, I'm going to stamp an image over top of this, and the first thing I want to do is use my embossing buddy just to get any stray oil from my fingers off of my page, because I don't want embossing powder anywhere except on the image that I'm going to stamp. This technique works best when you have another large bold stamp. So this one here is from Betsy's Blossoms, and I'm going to just apply some Versamark ink to it. I'm going to stamp it on my piece, and it's going to be the focal point of this card, like so. And then I'm going to add some clear embossing powder. So I'm just going to add that over the top. I'm a dumper of embossing powder. There's different styles, but that's what I do. I like to just dump it on top so I know I got everything. And then I can just return all of this to the little container. The next step is to heat set this, and I'm going to bring in my heat gun. I've talked to you before in previous videos about how great the Stampin' Up! Heat gun is, and it really is. It's got two settings, one low and one high. The low is great for vellum and window sheets because it doesn't buckle the paper, which is great. And number two is for straight embossing. So I really like this. It's really quiet too. So I'm just going to go ahead and emboss this image. So now I've got that image totally embossed, and you don't know if you can see it on the video, but it's just a clear image on top. Next I'm going to bring in a color that's darker than the two colors that I just used. This is Marina Mist, and I'm going to apply it all over the top of my stamped image using a brayer. You would have seen me use a brayer in one of my other videos on how to use a brayer correctly, so you can always refer back to that video. Basically, you're going to take your brayer and you run it through your ink pad, just like you're putting paint on a paint roller. You don't want to go back and forth because you're only going to get ink here. It has to cover the entire brayer. So once that's covered, I'm going to take my piece and I'm just going to brayer over top. And you just keep going until it's the desired coverage. And I really want to cover everything that's not inside that little embossed image. So it does take a little bit of time. If you use a darker color, of course, this would go faster, but I wanted to use Marina Mist. So that's really good. I think that's good enough. So you can see that it's completely covered, and the middle section here looks a little dull. So what you do is take a paper towel and you just remove the color from top of that embossed image. And now it's really like an emboss resist technique, because wherever it was embossed, the Marina Mist is not going to stick to. So all that's going to come out is the colors that were beneath that stamp before I stamped it. So that's why it's called emerging color, because it emerges from below your stamped and embossed image. Isn't that cool? I'm going to bring back in the original card, and you can see that I have mounted this piece on the same color as the stamps that we just used, which was the Crisp Cantaloupe, and I've added some of the ruffled ribbon. This is both the pistachio and the cantaloupe, which is gorgeous. Let me just bring the rolls of ribbon in to show you. Here they are, and they're stretchy. Isn't that great? Gorgeous. Really, really gorgeous. So the best way to apply the ribbon to the back of your piece is to put some double-sided tape down. So I've just used our sticky strip and applied it to the bottom here. And I've got my two pieces of ribbon, and I've already stuck them together, one on top of the other. And then it's just a matter of placing this on your project. And because it stretches, you can put it right over the edge and then you can just trim that off. So I'll go ahead and do that. So then I've gone ahead and just mounted my stamped piece on top. Next, I want to add a greeting, and because this has got ribbon on the back, it's going to be a little bit too bulky just to glue down as it is. So you want to use Stampin' Dimensionals, and if you just put one on each corner, that'll be good enough. Remember the tip, if you take your nail and you press down on that top of that little piece, it just pops right off. Okay, so then I'm just going to mount this in the middle here, like so. And then I want a little greeting here. So I'm going to use this one, which is Live the Life You've Imagined, which is a new stamp set. Because I use Marina Mist, I might as well bring Marina Mist back in and just tie it into the project. So I'm going to add that on the bottom of my card. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue this to our crisp cantaloupe. I've just made this a little bit bigger, just 1/8 of an inch, just to give it a little bit of backing here. And then the whole thing is going to go on the front of my card. So there you go, that's the finished card. Here's another sample of a card using the same technique. This is the designer paper, and it's actually a crisp cantaloupe before when it starts off, and then I stamped the lace background stamp on top in clear, again, in clear embossed it, and then I braided over the entire piece using soft suede. And so it colored the background, but it left the embossed image, and what's shining through, or what's emerging, is the actual design that was on the designer paper. So just another way to use the technique. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll give Emerging Color a try yourself at home. Thanks so much for watching. Happy stamping.
Hey, if you wanna play, make it a better place. It'll take creation, imagination. Try to draw outside the line. Let us see inside your mind. You'll find inspiration. All I'm saying is you can do it. I wanna hear you say